In this tutorial, we'll revisit the initialization section of our PyGame applications, and we will then try to solve the problem of keeping the player on the screen instead of letting them go off the edges. So this is a bit of a reminder of what setup looks like. This is a slight variation on what we've seen before. It includes setting a caption instead of having PyGame window. It also uses a clock, which we will come on to in future lessons. But basically, we need to set up and initialize the screen and the game code. We need to declare some variables, and then we have our main game loop. So I'm going to go here to Replit, and we're going to use Teams, and I'm going to look at Birkdale School, and we're now on to project number 4, Screen Edge Constraints. As ever, it will load up with the README file, and you can see that we're attempting to confine movement to the screen area. And we have to first of all initialize PyGame before we try to fix our movement section of code that was introduced in the last chapter. So we're going to go to main.py, and main.py, in this case, it says that first of all, we should add import initialization code to get the program working, and then we should add the constraint code to prevent the block from leaving the screen. So, as it says here, the supplied code is missing some setup details. See if you can supply the missing code from memory. If not, scroll down for a screenshot. So down here, there is some code that shows what we should be doing. Let's see if we can remember from memory what we need to do. So the first thing we would need to do, always with PyGame, is import PyGame. So very important that we have that right at the start of our code. And then pygame.init. We should also check that our very end of our code has pygame.quit, otherwise we will have problems in closing things down. So that's good to go. It will help if we have a few colors available to us, and I can see later on we're going to use black, and we're going to draw with green, so we're going to put them back in as well. So all in capitals, black equals the absence of color, no red, no green, no blue, whereas green is going to be no red, full green at 255, and no blue. Okay, now I can see here at line 16 that we're using max width and max height, so we need to declare those. Max width works best on these replets at a small size, something like 400 pixels. And then max height is going to be 300 pixels. So about half the standard size is mentioned in the example code. Okay, so we've got all of those. You can see that we have declared an X and Y here, so we've got our starting coordinates. So that's probably everything that we need to get us started with our program. After we've declared some things, we've got our screen declared, and it's setting up the size of the screen and then filling it with black to start with. So that all looks good. And then we have our main game loop. So if I try running this code, we get a PyGame window is appearing here, and we are then going to click in the window and just check that we can move around in all directions with the arrow keys. However, if we go too far to the top, we can go off the screen. And if we go too far to the left, we can disappear off the screen. So let's look at fixing those things first. What we can say, when we are pressing the left key, we want to check that we're allowed to go left. If we're already right at the edge of the screen, we don't want to be allowed to go any further to the left of the screen. So what we see here is, if you're pressing that key and x is greater than 0. In other words, we're not off the screen yet, so you're allowed to use that left key. And we'll try the same thing with up. So we're going to say, if you're trying to press the up key and y is greater than 0. And if I run that, I can still, so that was capturing down here in the console. I'm going to click in that window. I can still move up. When I get to the top, I'm pressing the key. It's not letting me move any further. If I go here to the left, I'm pressing the left key. I'm not moving any further. So I'm constrained and can't leave the screen on that side. However, I can still go off the other edge. So stopping being less than 0, keeping it positive, was a way of keeping you on the left and top of the screen. For right, what we need to think about is, I don't want to go any further than the width of the screen. So here I can say, and x is less than max width. And in the same way, when I'm trying to go down, I can say y is less than max height. So if I try that, I've got invalid syntax, so I've missed out the word and there. Okay, seems to be working now. I can click up in the window, can't go any further that way. I'm going to try and go off the edge here, and I have. So let's look at what's happening here. I'm going to go to the very edge, and I'm going to press the right key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and now I'm going to press the left key once, and it came straight back on. Let's go down to the bottom. So I'm at the edge of the screen. I'm going to press the down key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and I'm going to press the up key once. So what was happening there is I was just off the edge of the screen. And the reason this is happening is because it's allowing me to go to the very edge with my block. And the block gets drawn from the top corner. So what I have to do to fix this is a little bit of extra work. I'm going to declare an additional thing here. I'm going to declare size equals 10. And then I'm going to come down here to where I'm drawing it. And instead of 10, 10, I'm going to say size, size. And what I want to do, when I'm at the right side of the screen, I don't want to be just less than the width. I want to be less than the width minus the size. I don't want to get as much as a size closer to the edge than I'm allowed to. And the same with height, minus size. And when I try that now, and run my new version of the code, I can go to the edge of the screen, but now I'm pressing the right key, it's not letting me to go any further, and I'm coming down here and it's not letting me go any further. So I am now constrained to stay within this screen area. And another advantage to what we've just done there is that I can just, with one change, I can go here and I could say size equals 30. And then I get a much bigger block, but it still stops at each of the edges of the screen. So using a size constant has allowed us to solve several problems at the same time. And I'm just making sure that I'm always a positive number for my x and y coordinates, and they don't get as big as the screen width or height, but also I take away the block size to keep me on the screen.